afternoon, everyone. The May 22nd, 2012 meeting of the Recreation and Education Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Barker?
Here.
Mrs. Draw?
Here.
Mr. Gamble?
Here.
Ms. Cayley? Chairwoman Valerio?
Here. Is there anyone signed up for the public forum?
There is. Our first speaker is Tom Gregory.
I'm just speaking to a preliminary report that I gave to this committee and that they're regarding the Second Amendment arguments and guns in the park. I know it's not an issue before this committee yet. I'm obviously opposed to having guns in the park. The preliminary report that you have is basically going to say if you want to have them, you can have them. I mean, bottom line is, but you don't have to have them. From all the studies I've done so far, I mean, I'm not the lawyer. Law's over there, but I am a public citizen. I am certainly concerned about it. There is no right to carry concealed weapons in a park. In fact, there's no really right to carry concealed pistols at all. And that's what the courts are saying. Well, that's what that report is saying. But on the other hand, and when you look at actually the history of Monroe County, your Parks Department, probably the least the most grace you've ever given. At one time, someone could go to the director of parks and say, "Can I carry a concealed weapon?" And the director could give a permit, for me to carry individually. But you've changed that law as a county for some reason. I haven't been able to vet out the exact reasons behind it, but probably it's safety. When you look at the New York State law when it comes to parks, parks are there for our enjoyment. They're there for our enjoyment. And we have, as a government, we have an obligation to the safety and welfare of the people who are in those parks. Obviously, a problem with a discharge or an errant discharge of a weapon could cause much injury to people who are just enjoying themselves. And that's primarily the reason I'm opposed. I hope it doesn't get beyond this committee, but if it does, I will have a more complete report for you in a couple weeks. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's the end of our speakers.
Very good. Is there anyone present who is not signed up to speak, would like to address the committee at this time? All right, there being none, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. You have the April 24th, 2012 minutes before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. Very well. At this time, we have Paul Johnson, and he's our Associate Planner of Planning and Development, of the Planning and Development Department, who will now give us a brief overview of the 2013 through 2018 capital improvement program as it pertains to the Recreation and Education Committee. Screenplay. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. All the legislators should have received their copy of the County Executive's proposed capital improvement program. This has been developed using our usual process of internal review of department proposals for projects for inclusion in the capital program. The program was submitted to the Monroe County Planning Board. They conducted 3 public information meetings to get public comment on this plan during their review, and they have recommended this program to the county executive, who in turn now is submitting it to the county legislature for your consideration. Under the charter, you are required to hold a public hearing before adopting the program, and hopefully that action will happen at your July meeting. The purpose of my presentation today is to very briefly summarize some of the major changes and new projects that are appearing in our 6-year program. And there are 3 areas that I want to cover. The first one would be Monroe Community College, which you will find on page 17 of the document. This program contains 2 new projects: the downtown campus project scheduled over 3 years, and a capital equipment replacement technology project out in 2017 and 18, designed to replace computer infrastructure equipment that will be reaching the end of its useful life at that stage in the capital program. One other change, if you were to compare this program with the adopted program of last year, you would note that the North Academic Building, Building 6 project has been moved out 1 year from last year's program. Moving on to the second area, that would be the Monroe County Library System, which is on page 23. There's one project that has appeared previously, and as you can see, is funded in each of the 6 years, the Library System Automation Project, a continuing project to replace and upgrade as needed the computer equipment that's necessary for the operation of the central library system. Overall, that program, again, if you were to compare it with last year's, is actually down 10% in total funding. And finally, the Parks program on page 47. This program is very consistent with the adopted program, but again, the total funding has been reduced 10% from last year's program, principally in each of the master plan improvements projects that you'll see listed for each of the individual projects. There is one new project, the Black Creek Park Master Plan Improvements, appearing in 2018 for $100,000, principally for planning and design of projects that would probably be constructed in the 2019 year. And that, Madam Chair, is my presentation, and we'd be happy to answer questions when this item is on the agenda.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? And let me remind you that this is a document that, it's not fixed in stone right now. So, it changes, and please keep our questions germane to our committee. No question? Oh, yes, okay. Mr. Gamble?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It appears to be that we're purchasing certain IT equipment. Why is such a purchase listed as a capital improvement?
Through the chair, Scott Adair, Director of Finance. Specifically, can you define where you're identifying that IT equipment?
For, it's a capital equipment replacement under MCC.
Thank you. Through the chair, that is equipment that has a longer than 1 year useful life, and thus, because of the size of the project and the length of the useful life of that particular equipment and the type of equipment that it is considered to be capital in nature at this point in time.
Through the chair, what type of equipment would that be?
Through the chair, that is primarily computer infrastructure relating to, I believe it's wiring and switches, those type of things that are hardwired into the buildings themselves.
Mr. Barker?
Madam Chairwoman, being a fellow school teacher, I know that you, like me, are a stickler for details. And we shouldn't be asking the questions till we actually make a motion for this item when we get to that on the agenda. Just being a stickler. Sorry. So I know we're going to go through all these yeah, that one, yes. All that, but we should do the other agenda item first.
Excuse me.
Then we ask the question.
Well, can it continue, Madam Chair, or would you like to wait until, since you want to?
Get to the referral. Okay, yes. We'll do that then. All right, fine. So we'll move on to the agenda then. Okay. So the next item on the agenda is new business.
All right, referral 12-180, authorizing.
Moved by Mrs. Draw, seconded by Mr. Barker. Now, are there any questions before the chair? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed? Okay, item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 12-190, 2013-2018 Capital Improvement Program.
Moved by Mr. Barker, seconded by Mrs. Draw. Any questions at this time? All right, Mr. Gamble.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To follow up on my question, well, the computers and wire and switches, excuse me, Madam Chair, that was the answer that I got from Mr. Adair. Is that for just one particular job structure, Mr. Adair, or is that the whole project itself? Are we talking about a building or a series of buildings, or just the whole complete infrastructure of the computer system itself?
Through the chair, it is a campus-wide project.
Thank you very much.
Okay, any further questions? Mrs. Cayley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just quickly, will this capital equipment replacement project, will this be bonded for?
Through the chair, it is anticipated that it will be at this point in time, yes.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. At this time? Yes.
Back of what I was doing, I need to register my vote on that one since there were only 2 ayes and no
I'm
nays.
sorry. Okay, I didn't hear no, though. I forgot to say the opposed, that's why. Sorry.
Right.
Roll call vote, fine.
If we could back up a second, respectfully, I did want to explain my vote on this particular project, if I could do that at this point. Would that be all right? Of course, the capital improvement is, as you've pointed out to us, Madam Chair, this is a living, breathing document, and it is subject to change. I do have reservations with regards to the MCC component of this and the assertion of language that speaks to a location. And it is that and that alone that really is in regards or pushes a negative vote for today on the capital improvement plan. And I'm sure that we will have time to work through this as we go forward, but at this point, I would be registering a no because of that language. Thank you.
Okay. Therefore,
Roll call vote.
want to do the roll call, please?
Mr. Barker? Yes. Mrs. Draw? Yes. Mr. Gamble? No. Ms. Cayley? No. Chairwoman Valerio?
Yes.
3-2.
Okay, therefore, item carries. At this point, we've arrived at the unfinished business. Is there anything that anyone has to come before this committee? All right, there being no unfinished business, the May 22nd, 2012 meeting of the Recreation and Education Committee stands adjourned. The next meeting of the Recreation and Education Committee is scheduled for June 26, 2012. Thank you.